That must feel pretty good. I mean, the fans were incredible today, and then you put on a lap like that for them. How happy are you right now?
I'm so happy to be up there with up there in the top three. I mean, it's been all years taking me to get here, so it's been a serious mountain to climb. But finally gelling with everything around me, and I think myself and my engineers, we've really started to extract the performance from the car. So I'm really happy. Honestly, it's been a tough year, and I can't believe it's taken me this long to get here, but it's okay. What matters is the journey, and I've grown a lot through it.
What about tomorrow then? What can you hope from the race tomorrow? There are so many elements in terms of that run to turn one, in terms of the race pace, in terms of the battles that are going on around you. What would be good tomorrow?
Yeah. Well, I mean, firstly, it's great to have two Ferrari drivers. It's pretty cool. I'm grateful to be there. Charles put in a good lap. It's been quite a cool weekend, and he's always quick at qualifying. I think for a moment I was like P2, and I think that'd be nice for that, but the inside is actually not that nice. It's quite dirty on the inside, so I'm quite grateful to be third, and I hope that I can capitalize on that. See, Charles has a new tire. I don't have a new tire tomorrow. Same with Lando. But nonetheless, P3 I think is not a bad position to start here because you can tow, and so I'll be quite aggressive. I want to move forward somehow tomorrow.
That'd be pretty special to be your first podium for Ferrari, wouldn't it?
It'd be amazing. It'd be amazing.
Under the fiery Mexican sun and the thin air of the Autodromo Hermanos Rodríguez, Lewis Hamilton reminded the world exactly who he is. After months of frustration, a season of headlines about struggle, adaptation, and doubt, the seven-time world champion put his Ferrari SF25 third on the grid. Not a win, not even a front-row start. But make no mistake, for Lewis, this was a turning point, the first glimpse of real redemption since joining Ferrari. And after qualifying, when the cameras caught him smiling again, he said something that surprised everyone. When Hamilton joined Ferrari, it was supposed to be poetry, the seven-time world champion in the scarlet red of Maranello, chasing history and emotion in equal measure. But as soon as the SF25 hit the track, reality intervened. The dream was romantic, yes, but the machinery was flawed. What he found wasn't a car ready to win. It was a car still searching for its identity. It was the same paradox that so many legends before him, Alonso, Vettel, had faced. Ferrari's promise of glory mixed with the pain of imperfection. The early races were brutal. Bahrain exposed instability in slow corners. Jeddah punished the rear traction. In Suzuka, the car overheated before halfway through qualifying. And every time Hamilton pushed to the limit, the car pushed back harder. For a man whose greatness has always come from precision and feedback, the unpredictability of the SF25 felt like betrayal. The steering wasn't communicating, the brakes lacked bite, and the setup window was razor thin. Ferrari's engineers would joke quietly that the car was a diva, quick one lap, lost the next. For Hamilton, there was nothing funny about it. And yet, even amid that frustration, something remarkable happened. He didn't lash out. He didn't fall into blame. Instead, he turned inward. His interviews became more reflective, his feedback more surgical. Gone was the bravado of 2020's dominance. In its place, a kind of quiet resilience. "We'll figure it out," he kept saying. 3 words that sounded routine, but carried the weight of a man rebuilding trust not just in his team, but in himself. By the time the circus reached Mexico, Hamilton's patience had evolved into purpose. The critics had grown louder, some claiming he'd made the wrong move, others saying his best days were behind him. But Lewis thrives on that noise. He always has. It sharpens his edges, focuses his instincts. In the background, he was spending hours in Ferrari's simulator, cross-referencing telemetry, and working with Italian engineers to rebuild communication across languages and philosophies. Every week, a small step forward. Every weekend, another lesson learned. Mexico City sits more than 2,000 meters above sea level, the highest circuit on the Formula One calendar, and one of the most punishing for engineers. The air is thin, the oxygen scarce, and the consequences immense. Every car on the grid loses around 20% of its downforce. The engines gasp, the brakes overheat, and the tires refuse to stay in their temperature window. It's a race against physics itself. And this year, for Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari, that physics became personal. From a first practice session, the SF-25 looked uncomfortable. Its greatest strength mechanical stability in medium-speed corners vanished in the thin air. Ferrari's aerodynamic concept, designed around high efficiency rather than brute downforce, struggled to generate grip. In FP1, Hamilton's replacement, the mandatory rookie call-up, reported understeer so severe the car felt like sliding on ice. When Lewis stepped back into the cockpit in FP2, he immediately sensed it. The front refused to bite. The rear danced unpredictably under braking. In normal conditions, you fix that with downforce. In Mexico, you can't. The air simply doesn't allow it. The solution came not from hardware, but from Hamilton's mind. He asked for subtle changes, a front wing angle increase of just 2 clicks, a redistribution of brake balance toward the front, and a small change to the differential preload barely noticeable to anyone else. But to him, those tweaks were everything. They stabilized the front on turn-in and gave him the confidence to commit earlier. It wasn't speed through brute force, it was speed through harmony. That's the Hamilton difference. While others chase setup miracles, he chases rhythm. Meanwhile, Ferrari's engineers fought their own invisible battle. The turbo hybrid unit, supplied by Maranello's power division, was on the edge of its cooling limits. At altitude, turbos spin faster to compensate for thin air, and that means heat. The SF-25's cooling package was never designed for such extremes. So Ferrari opened up every possible vent and cut additional louvers into the bodywork. It worked, but at a price: aerodynamic drag. On the straights, Hamilton was losing nearly 6 kilometers per hour compared to Red Bull. Yet his precision in corners, especially through the stadium section, clawed back most of that deficit. That's where Hamilton's genius came through. He wasn't fighting the car anymore, he was partnering with it. Every lap, he built data, adjusted his brake points, and refined his steering inputs by millimeters. Onboard cameras captured at the small corrections mid-corner, the gentle throttle modulation, the patience. This was not aggression, this was art. You could see the experience of 2 decades condensed into a single qualifying run. In the garage, Ferrari's race engineer Riccardo Adami watched the telemetry with a rare smile. The Delta graphs told a simple story. Hamilton was extracting everything the SF-25 could physically offer, and then some. His Sector 2 times the slowest and most technical part of the track were among the best of any car outside Red Bull. That shouldn't have been possible, but Hamilton made it so. After qualifying, team principal Frederic Vasseur summed it up perfectly. Lewis made the car look better than it is. It wasn't an exaggeration. The data confirmed it. Where Leclerc relied on peak grip, Hamilton found performance in consistency, controlling tire surface temperatures lap by lap. On a circuit where most drivers overheated their tires by the end of a lap, he kept them alive. That's the hallmark of experience. That's why Ferrari brought him here, not just for speed, but for mastery under chaos. And the most telling part? Hamilton didn't celebrate. He didn't even raise his voice on the radio. Just a calm acknowledgement. That's progress, guys. Good job. Because to him, this wasn't redemption, it was evolution. The moment Ferrari and Hamilton finally began to understand each other. Qualifying in Mexico is chaos. The track evolves minute by minute, the tires fade almost instantly, and traffic can destroy a lap before it even begins. The heat mixes with the thin air to create a unique kind of tension, the kind that makes even the best drivers doubt their rhythm. But Lewis Hamilton, on that Saturday afternoon in October 2025, looked like a man who had finally found stillness inside the storm. The first phase, Q1, is usually routine for top drivers. But in Mexico, nothing is routine. Grip was scarce, and several big names, including Sainz and Hülkenberg, struggled to keep their cars on the track. Hamilton, however, approached it differently. He didn't go for an early flyer. He waited. He studied the track temperature, listened to his engineers, and let the others lay down rubber. When he finally rolled out, he did so with surgical intent. The first lap wasn't wild or dramatic, it was clean, precise, almost methodical. Every braking point hit. Every exit measured. No wheel spin, no lockup. Just calm execution. He crossed the line and quietly slotted into P4. That was all he needed. Efficiency over ego. In Q2, the tension rose. Ferrari had misjudged tire preparation. Leclerc's outlap was too slow, and his tires were under temperature. Hamilton, recognizing the issue, made a call over the radio that caught the engineers by surprise. Let's do 2 prep laps. We'll get the fronts in better this way. It wasn't a suggestion, it was a command, the kind that comes from someone who understands more than the telemetry. 2 laps later, the decision paid off. His tires were alive just as he began his flying lap, biting into the asphalt through turns 3 and 4, dancing through the stadium with perfect throttle balance. When he crossed the line, his sector times were identical to Leclerc's. He dragged the car exactly where it needed to be Q3. Then came the moment that defined the afternoon, Q3. 10 drivers, 12 minutes, 1 lap that separates brilliance from anonymity. And this time, Lewis Hamilton looked like the man from another era, the one who once dominated every Saturday in silver. The visor came down, and his posture changed. Gone was the searching, the frustration, the overdriving. What you saw was precision embodied. As the lap began, you could hear the turbo screaming under strain, but Hamilton was smooth, effortless. Into turn 1, late braking, but no twitch. He fed the car through the sequence with the rhythm of a pianist hitting perfect notes. Sector 1 green. Sector 2 even faster. Through the stadium, the fans were on their feet, roaring as the red Ferrari glided between walls of color. It wasn't speed alone, it was control. He crossed the line, and the radio cracked alive. "You're P3, Lewis." There was a pause, 2 seconds of silence, and then a single word. "Copy." Inside the Ferrari garage, the applause was understated but genuine. Engineers exchanged quick smiles. Mechanics nodded knowingly. They all understood what had just happened. This wasn't about 1 lap, it was about validation. For weeks, they had been buried under criticism, accused of wasting Hamilton's talent, of mismanaging strategy, of losing direction. But here in the thin Mexican air, their work and his genius finally aligned. The data on the monitors told the story. Near perfect balance, consistent cornering speed, minimal tire wear. And that's where Lewis Hamilton separates himself from every other driver of his generation. He doesn't just drive the car, he rewrites how it behaves. He senses when to push and when to breathe. He knows that every corner has its own heartbeat, and in that qualifying session, he matched it. His lap wasn't the fastest of the day, but it was the most complete. Every choice made sense, every movement was efficient. It was a masterclass not in aggression, but in wisdom.